when drawing the head shape, okay, just you need to remember that it is not a perfect circle. It's going to be closer to an oval, but even so, not really an oval either. You want it to be as symmetrical as you can get it. People's faces are not perfectly symmetrical, but they're close. And when they're not, they look strange to you. So for some reason, when I draw, it always winds up being off in the same way. So I've learned a trick to kind of turn it upside down, and that's how you can fix the symmetry. Okay, I'm going to turn it back around. All right. So now, I know this looks like long and wide, or long and narrow, but you know, the head shape will change a little bit. Add a little bit in for the cheeks. It kind of goes in a little bit where the eyes are. When you're doing this, you're going to do what the shape of your own head is. Okay, halfway from the top of the head into the chin is where your eye line is. Okay. All right. Halfway from the eye line to the chin is where the tip of your nose would be. Halfway from the nose to the chin is where the middle of your mouth is. Okay? So, your face is 5 eyes wide. So, you need to kind of figure out so that's one eye. This is where your actual eye will be. So I'm actually going to fix this out. I don't want it to be quite so in on either side. Okay, makes more sense. All right, so I'm going to start drawing in the shape of the eyes. If you notice, I do everything kind of sketchy at first, and then I just go in and I define the line that I like. Okay, so this seems a little bit low to me. I think it really needs to be more like here. And then this needs to be a little bit higher too. Right there is probably about good. Your eyes tell you how wide your mouth is going to be. Because where the pupils are, that's where, if you drew a line straight down, that's where your eyes are. Or the end of your lips. The ears will go in between these two lines. So in between your eye line and your nose line. That's how big your ears will be. Okay. So I'm going to start to sketch in the different features. When you're doing your actual portrait, it should definitely take you longer than this. This shouldn't take that long just because it's, you know, it's generic. It doesn't really have to look like anyone. It's just practice. All right. The nose is going to kind of end, your nose is going to end right in between here. Okay. Every nose is shaped just a little bit differently. Okay, you can start to erase your guidelines if they start to impede your drawing. Now, this area in here gets shaded in because that is basically the other side of the bridge of your nose. So the bridge of your nose comes up in between both. So there's going to be shading on both sides. I apologize if I keep going where it's not really shown the picture centered. It's hard to hold the camera with one hand and draw with the other. All right. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a general drawing. It's not supposed to be very specific. Okay. All right, the ears. When you're drawing your ears, you don't want them to stick out too far. It's not like when we did our ears from the straight on view. With the straight on view, you're going to see a lot more detail. You might see the curves a little bit better. You'll see more of, this shape and everything, but you're still going to see everything. It's just going to be more kind of smushed together. So practicing the shapes of the ears should definitely still help you to know what you're drawing. Okay. Same thing on the other side. Okay. All right, so with the lips, add that shading in. Okay, I'm going to erase those little guidelines on either side because I don't need those anymore. All right. Okay. I don't need this or that anymore. All right. So now I'm going to add in the Cupid's bow. All right. So one thing you need to understand is the shading on the face is really going to be what makes it. So if you're going by a picture or if you're actually looking at yourself in a mirror, the lighting is really going to be important. So if your lighting changes from one day to the next, that's going to be an issue. That's going to affect, how your picture looks. And so if your lighting needs to be consistent. So if you're not going to go by a picture, then you need to be in a room where you're not relying on natural light as much for your light source, because if it's a sunny day one day and then the next day it's overcast and cloudy, that's going to make a really big difference on how your shadows and everything are showing on your face. Starting to add in some shading. The cheeks are going to be lighter. If my light source is coming from this side, it's obviously going to be lighter than the other side, but it shouldn't be stark white. It should still there's going to be some shading under your eye. Okay. Your eyebrows. Your eyebrows are going to be right about here. Our eyebrows kind of go on a natural curve up and then down. Okay, so that's kind of the shape of your eyebrow. So it's hard to get your eyebrows to look the same on both sides, but if you just remember, it's going to kind of, if you remember about the shape that they should go, then it's not too hard. And then you just draw in the individual hairs going with that. Okay. They kind of go almost straight and up, and then they start to curve with the shape. Okay. All right. Continuing my shading. I'm going to lose this line. All right. This side's the darker side. Just kind of using this as a base to smudge. And I want her to have a base skin tone too. I don't want it to be, you know, nobody's skin tone is the color of this paper. Even if they're Caucasian, it's still not going to be. All right. So, hair. Now, if I was going to do her hair, I think I would give her probably maybe a bun, maybe. So, I'm going out past where the ear is. Okay. I'm going up higher than the head. And this is actually going to be where her hairline starts. So I'm going to have it all go towards this point here because I'm going to say that's kind of where my ponytail holder is. If you want to give her like kind of a base shading for underneath, you can do that. You can kind of don't scribble dark. This is just giving it, you know, where I can kind of smudge to get a base tone underneath where the hair is so that it doesn't look so stark white peeking through the hair. Okay. But we can also erase the original top of the head because since the hair is going past that, I don't want to see that through it. So all right. And what I'll probably do is I'll do some like laid down edges and stuff after I'm done doing the base for the hair for her. Every hairstyle is going to be a little bit different. So if, you know, depending on your hair type, if you need help kind of figuring out how to draw it, I can do individual videos for y'all. You just have to request it, and I have to be able to see at least a picture to see, you know, I don't have a good enough mental eye to be able to remember. I like to have a visual aid if I'm drawing for something specific. But you see how it's starting to come together? It's starting to look more human. Okay, so that is basically what it's like, the ponytail. And now for the bun itself, I'm kind of adding this extra layer. And again, you need those curved lines to really give it that volume, like a bun. Not really liking those extra loops, so just be careful about that. You kind of want to make sure that you're doing a curved line, not a hook. Okay, it's really starting to come together. I'm gonna erase the guidelines over here for her ear. I want to add some shading on this ear. Her neck. You don't want it to go in too far from the head, because if it does, it's going to look odd. It wouldn't be able to hold her head up. So I don't want this outline to get really dark either. Just erase outside of it. There's going to be a shadow on her neck that's created by her chin. So draw that in. You're also going to need to draw in neck and shoulders. So I want you to keep in mind that your shoulders are actually 2 heads wide. So if you were to take the head and place it next to each side, that's how wide your shoulder needs to be. Okay. So you're going to want to give her some type of shirt. Okay. This side too. Alright, so now that I got that drawn in, I'm just gonna start doing the shading of the chin and neck. Since the light source is coming from over here, there will be a shadow there, but it's gonna be mainly this way on her. I know it kind of looks scribbly right now, but it won't. Okay. I'll give it a little bit of clean up around here. I do want to give her some skin tone in here, so I'm going to add some lines. This is definitely, shading is definitely easier with a regular number 2 pencil, but it is possible to do with a lead pencil. I just wanted you to be able to see that there is really no reason why, you know, you can't use this type of pencil either. So let me erase up the edge so that it looks nice and neat, because we don't want it to look like it's unintentional. Everything that you do, you want it to be, you don't want it to look like an accident, okay? Okay, I'm gonna add a little shadow in here. All right. All right. That's about it, guys. That's a good head shape and proportion.